And let's get started. Okay, so this is the DARCI marketing class. And in this class, we're going to be going over, obviously, DARCI and marketing. Now, a lot of people think of DARCI and they automatically think of marketing. That's only one of 5 main jobs that she has. She also, as far as automated marketing goes, when we're done talking about those 5 jobs that DARCI does, then we're going to talk about manual marketing. So let's get started right to it. First things first. In order for DARCI to do her work for us, we need to set her up, or another term for that is hire her. And we do that by clicking on the DARCI marketing button. That brings up the Setup DARCI window here. The first thing we need to do is go to Setup Account. Now, it may look a little bit confusing, but don't worry, I'm going to explain it all to you. It's very simple. First, we're going to put in our business's name. Where it says business name, the name of your business goes here, then the address, city, state, zip code, and telephone number. This is what's going to be filled in here. Next, we have the business website address. What your business's website address is going to go here, and you're going to make sure that you include the full path. So don't just put in something like salonvitor.com. It would be www.salonvitor.com, etc., because that will convert it into a hyperlink. Next, we have the business email address. Now, this is the first one that's a little bit different that needs an explanation. Whatever email address you put here, normally it's a manager's email address or something like that. If a client receives an email from DARCI and they reply to that email, now usually DARCI email would not have a regular reply. You wouldn't normally reply to it. For instance, if it's an appointment reminder or confirmation, there's a button that says click here to confirm your appointment. That's what they would do. They wouldn't hit reply. But if somebody does actually press the button reply and types up a message to you and hit send, it needs to go somewhere. And you don't want it going just to DARCI because you don't have access to that. So what DARCI does is she forwards any reply to a DARCI email, gets forwarded to whatever email address you put here in the business email address field. Next, we have owner's email address and owner's email address too. Now, these can be the same email addresses, but normally you would want them different than the business email address. These are specifically for certain items that are what DARCI would consider for the boss's eyes only. So if DARCI needs to send something out that she believes is for the boss's eyes only, she's going to send it to whatever email addresses you've put here for owner's email address and owner's email address too. If there's only one owner, one email address. If there's more than one, 2 email addresses. Or maybe the owner has a home address and a business address and they want it to go to both, so you could do that as well. So you could certainly leave one of these blank if you'd like to. Next is upload logo. Every email that DARCI sends out has your logo on it, as well as your social networking icons. It can't have it if you haven't uploaded your logo. So you're going to click on this button that says upload logo, and then you're going to browse to wherever your logo is on your computer, and you're going to upload it. After you've found it, it'll put in the path here, and then you press upload. It usually just takes a couple of seconds, and it'll say that the file has been uploaded, and then you can close. You're done. Everything that DARCI sends out will include that logo on the top of it. Now, if you are using the installed version of the software, that logo can be uploaded as a GIF, a JPEG, a TXT, or a PNG. And it must be 500K or less. If you are using the cloud version of the software, then it can only be a JPEG. Okay? All right, so after you've uploaded your logo, we can move on to the next, which is optional. Oh, by the way, something I do want to make you aware of. Pro Solution Software has a graphic arts department that is at your service at no charge. So during regular business hours, you can reach them and they can create a logo for you. They can create banners for you. They can simply give you specs. If you want to make the artwork yourself, no problem. Couple of things to note. Remember that whatever the image is, it must be 500K or smaller, number one. And number two, the name of the image cannot have any spaces in it. So it's going to be a one-word name. Okay, so next we have text account username, text account password. If you want to be able to use texts through DARCI rather than email, you do not have to do that, by the way, but if you choose to, you must have a text account username and password. Everything DARCI can do via text, she can do via email. However, not everything she can do via email can be done via text. And texting might cost you. Email is always free. I say might cost you because if you're using the cloud version of the software, there's a certain number of texts you get for free. If you are processing credit cards through our preferred provider, you get another block of of texts for free. If you are doing neither, you're not in the cloud, nor are you processing through our preferred provider, then you can purchase blocks of texts for $30 for the first 1,000 texts and $20 for each block of 1,000 texts after that. Texts do not roll over monthly, which means that if you buy 1,000 texts and you only use 600 of them, those extra 400 are not there for you at the end of the month. Once the month is done, then you've got to buy another 1,000 texts. They don't roll over month to month. Okay? All right. In order to get your text count username, if you want to set this up, you simply send an email to rates. That's this one that I put here under owner's email address too, rates@prosolutionssoftware.com. And they will create the username and password for you and send it out to you. Again, obviously, whether you're paying for it or not is going to be based on those other parameters that I discussed. Okay, on the right-hand side, your social networking icons are going to appear on every DARCI email that goes out and on your online store if you have your online store set up. But in order to get those social networking icons on, you must put the URLs that apply to each in the necessary and corresponding fields. So if your business has a Google Plus site, go to your business's Google Plus site, copy the URL and paste it here. If you have a Yelp site, go to your Yelp site, copy the URL and put it here. Same thing with Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram, City Search, etc. So you put those in if you have them, and those then will create icons on the bottom of every email that goes out so that your customer can easily click on, say, the Facebook icon, and they will be taken to your Facebook page. They click on the Yelp icon, they'll be taken directly to your Yelp page, etc. These three here, online gift cards, online scheduling, and online retail, part of your online store. We do not discuss them in this class, and they are not necessary for DARCI. In fact, we are going to have these removed from the DARCI setup because they are no longer used through DARCI. So just ignore them altogether. Once you have put in your social networking URLs, you simply press save, okay, and exit. And DARCI has now been hired. Now that DARCI has been hired, there's this button here that says Run DARCI. If you are using the installed version of the software, you must press this button that says Run DARCI. And DARCI will appear, and it will say that she's running. If, however, you are using the cloud version of the software, there is no Run DARCI button. She's already running, and she will run 365 days a year. However, if you are using the installed version, not only must you remember to launch DARCI after you've hired her, but if you ever turn off the computer that's running DARCI and you reboot that computer, when that computer comes back up, you must go back into DARCI Marketing and run her again because she will have been shut off when you turned off your computer. If you don't turn off the computer, she should run every single day. Okay. So now that we have set DARCI up, we've hired DARCI, and we've set her to run, the next thing we need to do is give her her job description, what jobs she's going to do. She doesn't have to do all 5, but I'm going to tell you about all 5 right now. The first is my appointment reminders and confirmations, and those can be done via email or text. So email confirmations, we'll click here. You get to write whatever you want. Don't worry about what you already see here. You can write whatever you want. And you get to use what are called variables. And the list of variables for appointment reminders and confirmations can be found in this little blue eye. You click that and it will give you the list of variables that can be used. For instance, open caret, business space name, closed caret will insert your business's name into the email. Open caret service, closed caret to insert the service name, etc. So this might look something like this. Reminder for Kim. Hi, Kim. Remember that you have an appointment for a cut and color with Sally on February 7th at 11 a.m. Please arrive 15 minutes early to unwind. Again, it has your logo on it, it's got your social networking icons on it, and it has a large button that says click here to confirm your appointment. If your customer presses that button, it will mark the appointment confirmed right on the appointment book, and it will be date and time stamped, and it will show that the customer was the one who confirmed their appointment through DARCI. Now, once you have written what you want it to say and you've used your necessary variables so that everyone gets their own unique email, then you get to choose how many reminders you want to send out, 1, 2, 3, or 4. In this case, I said 2. And when are they going to go out? I say the first message is going to go out 2 days before the appointment. And the next message will go out 1 day before the appointment. I could have just said only one going out 1 day before. But in this case, I said 2 going out 2 days before and 1 day before. Now, if you were using a piece of paper to do your appointment booking on, and you called someone like Matt, you said, hey, Matt, it's Kim over at Salon Vitor, and I just wanted to confirm that you're going to be here day after tomorrow for your, your perm. And I said, oh yeah, I can't wait. Looking forward to it. So you reached me, you spoke to me, you confirmed, you marked me confirmed. You would never call me the next day to do that all over again. You've spoken with me and you confirmed. DARCI does the same thing. When your customer receives the reminder, if they press the button to confirm their appointment, it won't send out the next one. If for any reason they ignore it, they don't press that button, they don't confirm, it will in fact send out the next one. Okay. Once you have said how many are going out and when they're going to go out, you check the box that says active and accept, and then you can exit out. You're done. DARCI is going to take care of it from that point forward. You don't need to think about it again. If you want to use texting for appointment confirmations and reminders, texting is a little bit different. You are limited to 140 characters. And that includes both your subject and your greeting. So it's going to be a much shorter message. With an email, you could have put a lot more information in there, including your cancellation policy or whatever. With a text, much more limited. So this might say something like reminder for Kim. Kim, your appointment with Sally is on February 7th at 11 a.m. Reply Y to confirm. When the text goes out, it does not have the artwork. So there's no logo, there's no social networking icons, and there's no big button that says click here to confirm your appointment. Instead, it's just the text, which is why the line reply Y to confirm is so important. That's how your customers will confirm. If they hit Y, send, then it will do exactly what the email had done. It will mark the appointment confirmed right on your appointment book. It will date and timestamp it, and it will show that it was confirmed by the customer with DARCI. When you have set that up, you simply check the box that says active and accept, just like you did for the email. That's appointment reminders and confirmations via text and email. Do you have any questions for me on that before I move on?
No.
All right. So then the next thing that we're going to talk about is the email campaigns. So if I click email campaigns, this is going to open up a campaign window for blast marketing. Now, understand blast marketing is not targeted. So targeted marketing would be something like, hey, I want a list of all of my female customers who have red hair, that have a birthday next week, that like to see Jane. That would be a very targeted list. That's not what DARCI does. DARCI is going to reach out to every customer if they meet the certain basic parameters. For instance, of the templates that we have, there are over 20 of them, by the way, to choose from. One of them would be birthday. In your client file, you should be storing your customer's birthday. If you are, then they will be available for these types of blasts. If you're not storing their birthday, they won't be available for the birthday blast. If you are storing their anniversary, they'll be available for the anniversary blast. If you're not, they won't. So let's take a look at birthday here. So I choose my template, birthday. Then I choose my number of campaigns to run. And once again, I can choose 1, 2, 3, or 4. This time I said 4. These are going to go out before your customer's birthday. So I said my first message, and I can choose from 0 to 30 days, is going to go out 30 days before my customer's birthday. My second message, I said, is going to go out 14 days before. My third message, 7 days before. And my fourth message will go out on their birthday. That's what the 0 is. If it was a 1, it would be the day before their birthday. So once I've put in when they're going to go out, I get to say what goes out. So my first message is going out 30 days before. So that's my first message. I click here, and now I get to say what's going out. And I can write whatever I want. So I put in my subject. And again, I can use certain variables. These variables may be different than the variables you found for your appointment reminders and confirmations. So pay attention to them. This says, happy birthday, Kim. Happy birthday, Kim. It looks like you'll be celebrating your special day in about a month. Be sure to come before, and then your date of birth would be here. So if your birthday was, say, March 7th or March 5th, excuse me, it would say, be sure to come before March 5th for a birthday discount to look and feel great, etc. Now, while you're writing this, you can choose your font or change your font. You can make words bold or underlined or even italicized. You can even change the color of the words as you're writing them. And you can insert hyperlinks. So for instance, you could say something like, the hyperlink here might be for a review list or a review site, or perhaps to download a coupon or to book an appointment online. And then down here, the text might say something like click here. So then in the body of your message, it might say click here to book your appointment online. And the click here would be blue with a line underneath it. And if they click there, it would take them to that URL so they can book their appointment online. Once you've written the message you want, then you choose your artwork. There are 8 different pieces of artwork to choose from that are already pre-created for you. And you may look through them and decide that none of them are good for you. I mean, if you like them, great. Just choose one that you like for this message. But if after looking at all 8, you say, I don't like any of these, that's fine. You can upload your own custom image. And just like I said before, our graphic arts department, which can be found at graphics, Graphics, graphics at prosolutionssoftware.com. That graphics department can either create new imagery for you with your help. You might say, hey, I like waterfalls, or I like balloons, or here's a picture I want to use, or can you go to my website and take the image of the front of my salon, whatever. You're going to work with them. They're going to create a custom design for you and email that to you. And if you like it, save it to your computer and upload it. If you don't, let them know what changes you want made. They'll work with you until you have the artwork you want, and there's never a charge to use our graphic arts department. If you do use custom artwork that you created yourself or that graphics created for you, you simply upload your own custom image, browse to it like we did before, upload, and then you will have your custom campaign here instead of one of the other images that we've pre-created for you. So once you've done that, you send yourself a test email. Type in your email address and hit OK, and it will go out. It'll have your logo, it'll have your social networking icons on it, it'll have the banner that you've chosen, and your messaging. So take a look at it. Make sure the grammar's right, the spelling's right, but also make sure that the images appear. Sometimes you'd be surprised. People just send things out and they look terrible, and that's never a good idea. So by hitting send test email and typing in your own email address, you'll see what it looks like before you accept it. But if you say, yep, that looks good, you just save the template and exit, and you're done with this first one. Then you go to the second one and do exactly the same thing. You can change the message. You can have a different piece of artwork. Send yourself a test email. Make sure it looks okay, and then you're good to go. And move on to the next one, etc. And you do that for all of the ones so that you've selected, however many it is, 1, 2, 3, or 4. And when you're done, you check this box that says active and save the whole thing. Save template. And then your birthday DARCI is set up, and DARCI will run every single day, 365 days a year. And if any of your customers meet the parameters you've set, for instance, their birthday is exactly 30 days away, then they will get the message, as long as they permit it. And they do that through the client file. In the client file, you have a button here that says email promos. If that is gray, they won't get them. If it is blue, they will, as long as you have their email on file. So you will be asking your customers, like, hey, would you like us to confirm your appointment via email or text? You know, no, just call me. Okay, so they're both gray. Oh, I'd love an email on that. Click. And now they're going to get that, etc.
Get hold of your graphics people and they can make one up for us?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
All right, so back to DARCI Marketing. All right, so any questions on the automated email campaigns before we continue? Okay, now I just want you to be aware very quickly about one important thing about the email campaigns before we leave. Almost, not all, but almost all of the templates go after the date. I mean, excuse me, before the date, like before their birthday, or before their anniversary, or before Christmas or Easter, or before Mother's Day, or before Valentine's Day, etc. So these are going out before the date. However, there are 3 that go out after the date. For instance, we've got one here that's called follow-up. This goes out after the date. Well, what's the date then? The date is the date of your customer's last transaction. So with my follow-up here, if I said I want one campaign to run 1 day after their last transaction. So then I might say something like, thank you, Kim. Kim, thank you so much for visiting us yesterday. We hope everything went great for you and look forward to seeing you again. Please print this email out for 5% off your next visit and choose your artwork. Everything else works the same, but this is going out after the date, in this case, the date of their last transaction. We also have lost client. This also goes out after the date of your customer's last transaction. But in this case, instead of 0 to 30 days, we're going from 30 to 360 days. So in this case, I said I want my first message to go out 90 days after their last transaction. So that means that if a customer visited you and 90 full days have gone by and they have not returned, then the system will send out an email. And it might say something like, "We miss you, Kim. Kim, it's been a long time since we've seen you, blah, 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 blah." And you choose your artwork and send it right out. Again, she'll run every day. And if anybody was here 90 days ago and hasn't returned, she'll send that message out. But DARCI's not dumb. If your customer has a future appointment booked, she won't send it out, even if they haven't been in 90 days or 4 months or 5 months or whatever you set it for. If they have a future appointment, it won't send out the message. So you don't look foolish asking somebody to come back when they've already booked their next appointment with you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to talk about are notifications. Remember when we set DARCI up, when we hired her, we put in our owner's email addresses, 1 or 2 of them. That's for most of these, not all of these, but most of these are what we call suspicious activities. Whatever you check, DARCI is going to do every single day and as often as they're done. So for instance, if I put a check here that says when a cash payment is voided, if one of your staff members voids a cash payment at the point of sale, DARCI will immediately reach out to the boss and say, "Hey boss, it's DARCI. A cash payment was just voided on transaction number 12345 on this date at this time. And by the way, if you are password protecting the ability to void a cash payment, then it will even tell you who did it." So DARCI will say it was voided by Sally or whatever it may be. When a price is modified at the point of sale, somebody highlights it, goes to modify price, changes the price. Well, that might be an opportunity for them to stick the difference into their pocket. So, "Hey boss, it's DARCI. A price was just modified at the point of sale on transaction number 12345 on this day at this time by Sally," if you're password protecting it. And if not, it'll just tell you what happened. It just won't say by Sally. When rewards points are adjusted, somebody comes in, they've got 400 points, they need 1,500 points to get something for free, but they happen to be really good friends of your front desk person. So your front desk guy throws an extra 1,100 points onto their rewards program so that they now have 1,500 so they can get something for free. Well, that again can be an area ripe for fraud. So yes, you can password protect all of those types of things so that your people can't do it. But if you say, "Yeah, they can do it, but it's password protected so that I can know that they did it, but their password will allow them to do it." Either way, whether you password protected it or not, DARCI will reach out to you. "Hey, rewards points were just adjusted on this transaction, on this day, at this time," etc. When a transaction is modified, we learned in an earlier class how to modify a transaction. Once again, can be password protected, so you can prevent people from doing it that don't have the right to do it. But even the people who do have the right to do it, or maybe it's not password protected, you get notified if somebody modified a transaction. Again, that can be an area that's ripe for fraud, because all you have to do is change the person who provided the service and somebody else will get the commission for it now. So it's important that the boss be notified of things like that if they want to be. When a client file is printed, this is a big deal. We've already had customers contact us to tell us that their staff has printed out a list of their names, addresses, and telephone numbers, email addresses, things like that, because they were maybe planning on opening up their own salon right down the street and going to steal a bunch of clients. We've had customers call us to say, "Hey, DARCI contacted me and told me that at 2 o'clock in the morning, one of my employees printed out a list of all of my clients." So she does things like that. We call these suspicious activities. And again, most of these are, not all. Well, here's one that isn't. Email tomorrow's schedule to operator. If you've got that checked, then DARCI every night will email your staff their schedule for the following day. Now, this one requires some additional setup. And why do I say that? Because you might say, "You know what, I want to do that for most of my staff, but not for everybody. For some of my staff, if they find out their first appointment's not till 11, they'll come walking in at 10:55. And I want them all here at 9 a.m. in case we get walk-ins. So I don't want to send that to them. Or I think that would be a real benefit for these 5 people, but these 2 people, not so much. So if you check this box, email tomorrow's schedule to operator, then in the staff file, you choose the staff member, make sure you have their email address, and this is the one here, schedule. If this is gray, even if you have her email address, if this is gray, she will not get her schedule every night. But if it's blue, she will, as long as you've got that checked in DARCI. When you book, unbook, or reschedule an appointment, if this is checked, then Lachey will get an instant email letting her know that a change has been made and what that change is. And also, if this one is checked, then every night DARCI will send Lachey a report showing every service or sale transaction, whether it's product or service, that she got credit for. But those require that you check these. For instance, email end of day report. Not that one, excuse me, email sales detail with client names. If that's checked, she will send that report out to your staff showing them everything they got credit for. And this one here, email operator when booked, unbooked, or rescheduled. If that one's checked and you've got that booking checked in their staff file, then every time you make a change to their appointment book, they get instantly notified. That's very popular with booth renters. So if you book an appointment for them or unbook an appointment for them or reschedule an appointment, they get instantly notified. Also, this one here, email closing report to the boss. At the end of the day, the DARCI can, if you want, if this is checked, will email the boss the closing report. Hey boss, it's DARCI, here are tonight's closing numbers. Or even the end of day report. That can go automatically out every night as well. Those are notifications. Any questions on that before we continue?
No.
All right, moving on. Now we've talked about three main jobs. We've talked about appointment reminders and confirmations. We've talked about the automated marketing campaigns, and we've talked about notifications. So there are two more jobs that she does. One of them is called Come Again, and the other is called Buy Again. They work similarly, but Come Again focuses on services. Buy Again focuses on product. So how does Come Again work? We go to our services, and I can choose a service like, for instance, hair. And let's say that I have a service that I believe should be regularly repeated. So maybe that's our cap highlights. And I go to DARCI. And then I go to DARCI Come Again. And I say, you know what? When somebody gets a cap highlights, they should repeat that service every 8 weeks. So I'm going to say maybe, because I can choose from 1 week to 52 weeks, I'm going to say maybe 10 weeks. And then I put in my subject, like, don't let those highlights fade. And then my body, whoops, might put an E in there, there we go. And then my body, it has been 10 weeks since your last cap highlights service. You are probably noticing, whoops, that you need some touch-up. Call today to schedule your next appointment. Okay, so this is what I've written. I've said 10 weeks. I already said in my mind, in about 8 weeks, somebody should repeat that service. So what this is basically saying is, hey, you know what? They didn't come back in the necessary time. I could have set this for 8 weeks, but what I'm doing really is trying to not be that guy that honks the horn the second the light turns green. So I'm giving them an opportunity to really miss their cycle. So I've set it for 10 weeks, but you can do it differently. If they came in and they got a cap highlights and 10 full weeks have gone by and they have not repeated that service, they'll get this email as long as they, in their client file, allow you to send them promos. And you have their email address on file. According to the consultants that helped us develop this, this results in about a 7% increase in client retention and service sales. Now, you don't have to do it the way I just described. For instance, what if you don't want to tell them that they missed their cycle? Maybe you want to avoid that, missing the cycle altogether. Now, I said that the cap highlight should be repeated every 8 weeks in my head. So then maybe I change this to 6 weeks. And then I say something like, don't let those highlights fade, and say, it has been 6 weeks since your last cap highlight service. We recommend that you repeat this service every 8 weeks. We see you don't have an appointment set for 2 weeks from now. So this is just a reminder to give us a call and book it. Exclamation point, and get rid of this other stuff here. Okay, so now what I'm doing is this. Before the time comes that they should be repeating it, I'm sending out an email saying, hey, don't miss it. Now, this is the thing about DARCI with the come again. If they have a future appointment booked for that service, it won't send out the email. So in other words, if you said, hey, you should repeat this in 8 weeks, let me book you for 8 weeks from now. And they said, sure. So they came in today, got their cap highlights, and you booked them a pre-booking for 8 weeks from now, they won't get this. But if they said, oh, no, I'll call you because I might be on vacation or whatever, and you say, okay, so they leave, they got their cap highlights, and 6 weeks have gone by and they don't have a future appointment booked, they might get this. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
All right, so you can do it either way. They missed their cycle, or hey, don't miss your cycle. So that's the come again. Then we have the buy again, and that works with inventory. Again, it's very similar. Every product has this buy again button, and you can write your subject and your body. So let's look at one that I've already done. I'm going to go to my Just an All-in-One shampoo here that I use for everything. Now, my Just an All-in-One shampoo, let's pretend, is 20 ounces. And let's pretend that I tell my customers that they should use 2 ounces of it every other day. Well, if they do that, then in about 20 days, it should be empty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to my buy again here. And once again, I can choose from 1 to 52 weeks. And I can choose 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I said 5 weeks. Again, not to be that guy that honks the horn the second the light turns green. And I wrote my subject. Your Just an All-in-One shampoo is running low. And my body, if you've been using the shampoo like we told you, then you should notice that you're either out or running low. Please print this email out and bring it in with you for 5% off your next purchase within 30 days. Again, that's what I wrote. You write whatever you want. But the point is if somebody walks through your door, buys this shampoo, and 5 weeks have gone by and they have not returned to buy it again, they may get that email. According to the consultants that helped us develop this results in about an 8% increase in retail sales and about a 0.5% increase in client service sales. Why? Because oftentimes when customers are coming back in to replenish their supply, they'll also go ahead and book themselves an appointment for a service. So it doesn't cost you anything, and it can help you with your retail sales and your service sales. Okay. Now, again, DARCI's not dumb. Obviously, if they came in within those 5 weeks and they bought this product again, it would reset the clock. But also, if they buy something in the same category, it will reset the clock. So you don't look foolish if somebody 3 weeks after they bought it, they came in, they liked it so much that instead of buying the 20-ounce bottle, they bought the 30-ounce bottle. You don't want to tell them 2 weeks later that their 20-ounce bottle is empty. You'd look silly. So if they buy something in the same category, it resets the clock. If the new product that they purchased has a DARCI buy again on it, it'll change it to that. If it doesn't, it'll reset the clock for the old one. Okay. Any questions on the come again and the buy again before we continue?
No.
All right. So once you have set DARCI up and you have assigned all 5 or however many of the jobs that you want her to do, now she knows what her job description is. Now what we need to know is, when is she going to do them? That's what these checkboxes are in these times. So if you say, I want her to do appointment reminders and confirmations, as well as automated marketing campaigns that I've set up. Check. Okay. I want her to do my end of day functions, like contact me and tell me what tonight's closing numbers were, or contact my staff and let them know what their schedule is for the following day, things like that. Check. I'm not going to use the come again. Leave it unchecked. I am going to use the buy again. Check. So you have to just check off the things that you want her to do. Then you get to choose from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. what time you want to set her up to do these every single day. So at 9:30 in the morning, she's going to do my confirmations and campaigns every day. At 6:30 at night, she's going to do my end of day functions because I close at 5 or 5:30. So I know at 6:30 it's safe because we've already closed. So remember, if you close at 7, don't set it for 6:30 because then you might be still taking calls to book appointments for tomorrow, or maybe you haven't closed the drawer yet. So then she wouldn't be able to send the owner the report saying, here's tonight's closing numbers if you haven't closed yet. So the end of day functions should always be scheduled for at least a half hour after you have closed, if not more. The come again and the buy again, if you're going to be using those, we generally recommend, just as a simple way to do it, to just make these the same time as whatever you do your confirmations and campaigns at. If you're using the installed version, remember, DARCI must be running for this to work. So let's say you came in the morning and last night had been a big storm and you lost power. All of your computers are off and you say, oh, geez, got to turn them all on. Turn them all on. You can't forget to run DARCI again if you're using the installed version. Again, if you're using the cloud, it doesn't matter if you lost power, because the software is not installed on your computers. DARCI is going to run and do her thing every day, whether your computers are on or not. Okay? All right. So once you have checked the boxes of the jobs you want her to perform, and you've placed the times in that you want her to do them, you simply press accept and exit. And that's it. DARCI is going to run every day and do her job every day. Any questions on that before we continue?
Nope.
All right, the next thing that we're going to be talking about is manual marketing. Now, manual marketing is different than automated marketing. See, automated marketing says, well, if it doesn't, I don't care who they are. If their birthday is coming up, I'm going to send them this, or their anniversary, or I'm going to send everybody that allows me to send promos. I'm going to send every single client that allows promos this Valentine's promo, or this Mother's Day promo, or whatever it is. Those are automated marketing. Now, manual marketing is different. Manual marketing is where you say, I want to send a message out, and I want to send it out right now. And I want to send it out just to a very specific group of people, a targeted list. So again, how we do that, we go into DARCI Marketing, and we click on Create a List. Now, I can create any list I want. I can get really crazy with it. So I might say, I want a list of every one of my clients. So I don't have to do anything then. Male and female are already checked and active. So every one of my male clients, my female clients that are active will be on the list. So I don't have to do anything. I can just give it a name, like all clients, and then create my list. This file already exists and contains data. Is an override okay? Yes. So it's going to then go through all 22,000 plus of my customers, and it's going to, within about 20 seconds, have this list generated for me. So let's just count that off. So even, by the way, if it says it's not responding and it stops like this, it's still doing its thing. It's just crunching. It's going through, in this case, 22,000. It's done now, and it says done. I've now created a list called all clients. That's one way. What if I wanted to do a much different list? I just want my women who have black hair, who have dry skin, and ride a motorcycle. Okay, get rid of my males. And say, I want all of my women who have black hair and who ride motorcycles. Now, I know that sounds silly, but the point is that you get to create your own unique tracking items. So then I could call this something like Moto Femme Brunette. And create my list. And everybody who meets those criteria will appear on my qualified list. So out of all of my 22,000 customers, 7 of them are women who have black hair and ride motorcycles. I didn't put in the dry skin. I could have done that too. That would have made it even smaller, but here they are. And now I can do something to it. Blast list. Choose the list that I created. So let's go to that one that I just made. Go to my M's here, because every list I've ever created is going to be here. So I've got my Moto Black, I've got my Moto Brunette. Here it is. No, it's not. Here we go, my Moto Femme Brunette. There's my list that I created. Now, what do I want to do? Do I want to send this to Constant Contact or Go Loyal or MailChimp or something like that? If so, I can just export the list to anywhere on my computer I want. And after I've exported that list, I can then upload it into something like Constant Contact or Go Loyal. But what if I say to myself, you know what, I'm using DARCI. I don't want to spend extra money on Go Loyal or MailChimp or Constant Contact. Well, then I want to blast. And I can blast a text message or I can blast an email. Either one. And what do I want to blast? Well, if I've already made, then it's going to be listed here. These are my texts. These are my emails. If I've already made it, it's going to be listed. Now I'm going to create a brand new one though. Maybe I haven't made it. So I go to setup and I can give it a name like Moto Femme Brunette. That's my template name. And then my subject line says, hi, open caret, CF, closed caret, exclamation point. So it says, hi, Kim, hi, Sally, hi, Jane. Everyone gets their own unique one. I can choose my font, choose my font size. I can even upload a unique image if I want to. Maybe it's a picture of a beautiful woman riding a motorcycle, I don't know. And then I can write my message. And just like before, I can make words bold or underlined or italicized, or change the color of my words, or insert hyperlinks. So then I might put in the body of my message, and it might say something like, hey, you've been riding that motorcycle all day long. Why don't you come on in here for a lower back massage? And if you ride your bike to the shop, we'll even give you 15% off. You know, I'm just making this up because you do whatever you want. But so you write whatever the message is, and you save the template. That's it. Now I can go to email, and every list that, every email I've ever created is going to be here, including my Moto Femme Brunette. I can send myself a test email to make sure it looks good. Yep, that the artwork that I chose was the right size. Everything looks good. Great. Then process. And everybody on that list, whether there's 7 people on it or 22,000 people on it or whatever, they're going to get that message, and it's going to be unique to them. Targeted messages have a much higher read rate than spam messages. So for instance, if you created a message that said, hey, look at our summer specials, and you sent that to all of your customers, that's spam. Much lower read rate. But if I rode a motorcycle and I got an email from my spa or my salon that said something like, hey, Matt, you've been riding all day. Take a look at this special that we've got just for riders. That's a much higher read rate, and it feels like you're communicating with me rather than just sending me an advertisement to everybody. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, so that's basically why you do targeted marketing. Now, that's one way to use it. Most people, when they think of creating lists and sending out blast emails or texts, they think of marketing like that. You know, basically, it's an advertisement. However, there are times that something different might need to be done. Like, for instance, you might say, let's say that Christian's one of your employees, and he walks up to you and he says, hey, Kim, my 3 o'clock just canceled on me. And you're like, ah, swell. You know, when people call in, they're calling for next week or tomorrow, but they're never calling for later in the afternoon. And we don't get a lot of walk-in business. So there's a really good chance that Christian's going to be sitting on his hands at 3 o'clock. Even if you charge the customer for a late cancellation or a no-show or whatever it is, even if you charge them, you still have empty time that Christian could be filling, maybe making some more money. So he says to me, you know, Kim, my 3 o'clock just canceled on me. You know, I'm sorry. It's already 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And you think to yourself, what am I going to do to keep Christian busy at that time? Well, I could have him start sweeping up, I guess. But what I really want to do is this. I'm going to go to create a list. And I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to go to all of my clients who like to see Christian, or maybe just my female clients that like to see Christian. And then I come down here and I give it a name, like Christian's females or Christian's clients or whatever it may be. I've already done that. Once I've done that, I can go to blast. So I've generated the list. And then I can choose that list that I've created, like Christian's clients. This is only going to go out to the 450 clients that Christian has. And then I want to blast that list. Do I want to blast an email or a text? Well, I've already created an email for it. So I'm just going to show you that real quick. We'll go to Christian's 3 o'clock. And it says, Kim, there's an opening with Christian today. And then the body, there's been a late cancellation with Christian today. It is at 3 p.m. First person to call to schedule this time will get 25% off their service. So you blast this out to them. It's just Christian's customers that are going to get it. Hopefully that phone rings and somebody takes that time because they want that discount. Then the next person that calls in, because they got that email too, or that text message, and they might say, hey, I'd love that 3 o'clock. And you say, oh, I'm so sorry, it's already booked. But now this is an opportunity because you've got them on the phone. But you know what? Christian does have availability tomorrow at 2 o'clock or whatever, whatever the information is. And so maybe you might even be able to book appointments from there. No discount now because they're not taking that 3 o'clock time. We actually have a customer who told us that she has been using it this way even when there aren't late cancellations, so that her customers think that there are, so that when somebody calls in, even the first person is told, oh, I'm sorry, it's already been booked. But she says that this has been able to allow them to book additional appointments for their staff, and it has resulted in about a dozen extra appointments a month for each staff member, because she does it for a different one each week.
I have a question.
Yeah, I can get a little crazy. Go ahead, please.
Is there a way to print up that list of clients?
Yes, of course. Absolutely. So we go here to print labels. And then I can choose from all of the lists that I've created. So let's go to a small one here. Let's go, here's my, let's go to.
So you do the same steps, but then you do the same steps, you operators, male, female.
That's right. You still create it. Once you've created it, then let me just find it here. Moto brunette. Boy, I've used that example a lot. There we go. There's my Moto Femme brunette. Now I can just print it out. The problem is this wants to print out for labels. So you're going to have a lot of wasted space on your page, perhaps, unless you're actually doing labels. Then you can set up your mailing labels, and then you can have this print out onto those labels so that you can stick them onto your whatever. But you might say, no, I just want the list. I want the information. Okay, then I'm going to check this box that says contents only, no labels. That way it's not going to put it in label format, and there won't be any wasted space on the page. Also, what if they don't have a valid address? Remember, she wants to print out labels. So if this is not checked, she won't print the client out, even if they're on the list. She won't print them out if they don't have a valid address, because she thinks she's printing out labels. But you say, no, no, no. I want them even if they don't have a valid address. So I choose my list, contents only, print list invalid address, and print. So then what's going to happen is it's going to find everybody on that list. I've got my client number, their last name, my first name, their address, their city, their state, their zip code, their telephone numbers, if any, their email address, if any, their start date, last date, their date of birth, and their anniversary. It's all there for me, and I can zoom in or out using my little zoom button there.
Okay. Perfect.
Absolutely. And then you can just print it right to a printer. And that is the DARCI marketing class. Do you have any questions for me on anything we covered today, or something you were hoping I would that I didn't get to?
Nope.
Would you like this class emailed to you?
Yeah.
All right. And thank you again for taking the time. And Kim, it's been you and me today. So I feel like we're becoming fast friends. Are you actually in my next class as well?
I am.
See you then. And hopefully we'll actually have some additional attendees, but I think everybody's got a hangover.
All right.
Maybe everybody that was signed up was from Philadelphia. All right. Take care, Kim. Have a great day.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.